is a slideshow someone had thrown together with photos from the weekend. Plates were full, wine was flowing, the energy finally relaxed until Priya stood up mid-meal, holding her glass. She cleared her throat and started telling a story about back when I used to wear mismatched shoes in middle school. The details were off. The timeline didn't make sense. She stumbled halfway through, then tried to recover by adding a side comment about how some things never really change. Before I could respond, her own sister jumped in and corrected her, loudly, said the story was actually about someone else. A few people laughed. Priya tried to laugh too, but it came out tight. Then one of the older aunts spoke up from the other end of the table. What matters is who people become, not who they were at 13. It landed heavy. A few heads nodded. Then someone added, honestly, watching her this weekend has been a highlight. And just like that, it snowballed. Another person toasted to growth. Someone else said they hoped I'd come to every reunion from now on. One of the older uncles said he wished his own daughter would take a page out of my book. And then someone raised their glass and said, to her, for handling everything with grace, even when it wasn't easy. The whole table joined in. Even Sarah, who had stayed mostly neutral the entire week, stood up and gave me a hug. She whispered, this wouldn't have been half as fun without you. Across the table, Priya froze. She smiled, but her teeth were clenched. Her hand gripped the base of her glass like it was holding her steady. She didn't say anything else for the rest of the evening. After dessert, I slipped away and walked to the edge of the estate. The lanterns lining the path glowed softly. I circled past the gazebo, down the hill, and stopped by the fire pit where everything had started shifting just the night before. The logs were cold now, but the chairs were still arranged in a circle. That's when it hit me. I wasn't just tolerated anymore. I wasn't background noise or someone's pity and bite. I was part of the story now, a central character. Someone who had changed the rhythm of the whole weekend just by refusing to shrink back down. They used to forget I was even there. Now they couldn't figure out how to go forward without me. The morning of checkout came with a light fog settled over the estate grounds, making the stone paths and manicured hedges look almost surreal. It was quiet in a way that hadn't existed all week. No passive-aggressive comments floating between coffee cups, no dramatic whispers near the staircases, but just the low hum of rolling suitcases and trunks being shut. I sat on the upstairs balcony with a cup of black coffee, wrapped in a soft cardigan, watching everyone load their bags into cars. Most people were still in their pajamas, hair tied back, faces softer now that the performances were over. One by one, cousins started drifting over to say goodbye. Some were warm, others a little awkward, but no one ignored me. Simran came up last and sat beside me, her hands wrapped around a chipped mug. She stayed longer than the rest, watching the gravel driveway as cars pulled away one by one. She said this was the first reunion where she hadn't just played along, pretending to like everything Priya liked, agree with everything the older cousin said. She told me she had always felt stuck in a version of herself that Priya had molded. And seeing me, just being myself without trying to win anyone over, made her think maybe she could break out of hers too. That moment landed harder than anything else that week. No one had to clap. No one had to toast. Just that sentence, quietly said on a foggy morning, felt like proof that the work I'd done on myself had started echoing outside of me. A little later, Sarah walked by, clipboard in hand, managing the checkout process like a wedding coordinator. She smiled and asked if I'd consider helping plan the next reunion. Everyone seems to think you're the reason this one actually worked, she said. I told her I'd think about it, but only if the next one wasn't themed around exclusivity, confidence, or beautiful people, only filters. I wanted real people, messy ones who weren't trying to win a silent popularity contest. She laughed and said, fair. Final brunch was served in the garden, with folding tables